Tango 1 at the top, we are at Papa Coco. 10-4, Tango 1, you have control. Tango 1 copy. Stand by. Stand by.
Integrity, passion, resilience. That's what this place was built on. That's what our community is founded on. Don't act like the example, just be the example. This is the home of the greatest fitness community in the world. We're trying to create strong, able bodies, resilient to injury with a gas tank to get shit done. If there's one thing from this podcast, it's about taking immediate action, find the problem, fix the problem. This is your opportunity. It's either a hell yes or a fuck no. It's that simple.
You're doing that. The Tango 1 podcast.
Now is the time to take action. Now's the time to do more and be more.
And Cafe Patron, but I'm not going to put Cafe Patron on the podcast because that's look like a giant mangina.
So you were the most hardcore that we've had. Like me and Casey doing the occasional tequila shot. You're going straight up Jaeger. So
straight up Jaeger. And the best part about Jaeger, it comes with its own shot glass.
Exactly. And have fun with that. So welcome to the Tango 1 podcast. I'm Tony Smith, retired cop, SWAT team leader, the founder of the Garage Gym and Tango 1 Solutions. My mission every week is to challenge you and guide you to create an immediate action plan against your problems and your weaknesses. We want you to live that tactical life by committing yourself to doing more and being more. I'm joined here by my good friend, Coach Joe Strong, Joe Riggio. You guys heard me talk about him before. He's been my friend for almost 10 years since we went through all the Jim Jones hell together. He's the founder, the visionary of Varsity House, the business of strength, and the VH education, something that my team is currently taking part in. We'll talk about that a little bit later. He's also, the guy who coaches gym owners to run a great business, and he's contributed hugely to our success here at the Garage. Most importantly, he's a good person, a good friend, a father, and a husband. So welcome to the show, Joe. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks, brother. I really appreciate it. I'm super excited that we finally got a chance to sync this up and make it happen. And I'm hoping I can provide some value and entertainment for the listeners.
Well, I'm sure you can. We guys remember we had Dan on about a month and a half ago, Joe's partner, and he talked about a lot of the stuff, but we didn't talk about like how Varsity House got into it. So I'd like to talk about that today. I want to talk about some business stuff, obviously,
sure,
leadership, and then just like we always do, just have a drink and kind of shoot the shit and have some fun.
I got my Jaeger ready.
Oh, geez, there you go.
Hardcore, hard.
So you guys listening, it's not Friday night like we usually shoot this. It's like 2:30 in the afternoon, but Joe's he's
I
got
to pick my kid up from school, so only one for me,
a little leave of absence here. Yeah. They refuse to let him get in the car.
That's it.
Dad can't sign out. That imagine that call home.
Oh no.
Hey Del, we need you to come pick up.
No. You wouldn't see me for weeks. Wifey would have me by the
All right, man. So listen, you started Varsity House from basically a hole in the wall, and you've turned it into, one of the best facilities I've ever been to. And it's impressive from like just visually impressive, but impressive when you watch how you guys, not just turn people out, but turn people out with a smile.
Sure.
And commitment. And, the first gym I had been to that was kind of like ours that had a team, like a team of people. And that's kind of like what led us to grow the team that we have so that we could, live with a little more freedom, but commit ourselves to like making sure that gym never stops growing and people never stop happy. So let's just start right from the top, man. Like it's a hole in the wall in a garage or something, right?
Yeah. No, I started, like, if you go back a little bit further, I actually started training my first job training. There's always a girl involved, right? Kind of reroutes your life, right? So I'm training at a Gold's Gym, and I'm like kind of the resident meathead there. And I was always into training. At that point, I had been like reading lots of manuals and books and things like that, just for my own personal like want to be like the next Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like I thought I was going to be 260 ripped Mr. Olympia, and I was training hard, writing programs for a lot of my crony friends at the gym and things like that. And I met this girl, and she was like, you know more than everybody here. Like, you should just go get certified and be a trainer. And I said, did they make any money? And she's like, I think the guys here are making like, $35, $40 an hour. And I was like, oh crap. I was like, I'm a broke ass college kid. I'm working summer times. I'm working for Mr. DeGraff's, heating and air conditioning, getting like, literally like indentured servant labor, like, 60 hours a week for like $400 cash if I was lucky that week. And Mr. DeGraff didn't spend the other 200 at the bar. Right. And then, or I was working part time at a Pathmark pharmacy for like, 8-10 bucks an hour, something like that. So I was like, great. So, we went and got certified. I'm like 19, so this was like 2000. This was like 1995, 96, right? 95, and we got a hotel room. We stayed. It was a 2-day
Yeah,
NASM
you did.
Yeah, we did, and it was a 2-day NASM certification. Didn't get a lot of studying done the first night, and end of the story was, I passed, she failed, we broke up, and I kind of kept going from there, and it just kind of started this obsession. I had taken anatomy and physiology in high school, and I was always interested in science and the human body. This really kicked it off. I started training people, and the first job I got, I was actually training with people in their homes. A guy had a really good home business. He was going to people's homes, and a lot of them were looking for somebody to train their kids. So I was obviously playing sports and into sports. So they were like, hey, I got this guy Joe who, plays football and played all sorts of sports and is really into it. He'll train the kids. So we would show up at a person's house. He would train the husband and wife. I would train the kid in the backyard and stuff like that. So that went on for a long time. College training, you know, master's degree, was going to go do a PhD. And then, as I've told the story before, it's kind of called my mom and was like, you know, I'm quitting this. I'm done. I don't want to do my PhD. I'm going to go open up a gym one day. And she's like lost her mind, F this, F that, like always with this gym shit, the lifting weights, fucking me head, all this stuff. Right. And when she's done yelling at me, I was like, can I borrow some money? She's like, absolutely not. Right. I'm not giving you a penny for this crap. Right. It's ridiculous. You could be a doctor. Right. So I did it, and I went out and I got a job training. I worked at a whole bunch of facilities for years, and I was training people in the parks. I was training athletes on the fields. I was working at a bunch of gyms. I was training people in their houses, which if you've never done that, I highly recommend going to try that. That's the most humbling experience ever. Some people are amazing. Some people treat you like their housemaid, and everything else in between. But it taught me a lot about, relationships and human interaction, which is pretty much the core of the entire business. And once I got enough juice, gravitas, I worked my way up. I was a performance director at a couple places. I was the fitness director at a couple places, and then, I had a couple dollars saved. My mom finally saw the vision a little bit and gave me some money. I borrowed money from a girlfriend. I borrowed money from my best friend, and in 2005, right, I started the plan of opening up the Varsity House. I had already incorporated the name and things like that.
And where was that, Joe?
In '06, I opened up the first gym, and that was in Northvale, New Jersey. So it's only about a mile away from where I am right now, in Orangeburg. And it was a small little. So I knew I was training a guy, Paul, really good dude who was a big real estate guy in the area, and he introduced me to a crazy old coot named Rich, who's still in this first space, right? Rich. They knew the owner of the building. They had this weird loading dock. The town, because of zoning, made them put in this giant drainage field, and because of that, this loading dock could no longer be used as a truck loading dock because they couldn't back the trucks in. They had to put this field in because the building didn't meet code or something like that. So he basically had this empty, useless, loading dock garage, right, that had been abandoned for like 2 or 3 years at that time. So the landlord was like ecstatic that anybody wanted this piece of crap, spot. And so me and Rich split it, and I did, I took about 35 by 35, which is about what I took. Yeah, it's exactly what I took. And he took the other half. He put in a little shooting, like a couple hoops for shooting drills, and I trained people. So, first day I show up there, and it's like, it's like a basketball gym, and the basketballs are going all day, every day for freaking. I was like, holy crap, right? But you get used to it after a while. And, this had no heat, no AC. There was barely any lights. The electric went out all the time. And at one point, Dan will tell this story. It's pretty funny, but I had to pull my truck up on the hill there, and I shined my headlights into the rolling gate, into the roll up door, so we could finish our workout. With a bunch of kids in there, and many stories like that. Just the place was a disaster, and then there was a bakery in the back that the sort of place smelled like bread during the morning, and then there was a fish guy on the other side. So in the afternoon, the place smelled like fish. So you got bread in the morning, fish in the afternoon, and it was pretty miserable. But I was there for 3 years, and then basically just honed my craft. You know, started putting a process together, and then obviously Dan was one of my first athletes there, and we just formed a really great relationship and started talking a lot about business, and things kind of led to the next thing.
Man, well, it's such a crazy story, especially if you guys have been. So, just to give people that listening here in Canada an idea of where you are, not all of everybody's from Canada, but most of them are. Orangeburg, you're about like I don't know, an hour from New York City, like 50 miles,
Not
something like
even,
that.
not even, yeah, but not even. I'm about 30 minutes outside of Manhattan. We are about uh, not even 20 miles, about 20 miles north of the GW Bridge. So I'm literally right now, the current facility is directly on the border of New Jersey and Rockland County, New York, on the west side of the Hudson River. So, and we moved from Northvale to Old Tappan to this location, and each one was maybe about a mile apart from the other.
And it's really a beautiful area. I can't believe like the
Thanks.
difference, like when you're coming from New York City. New York is amazing, by the way, but and then into your like the area that you guys are living in. It's just like it seems like such like opposite ends of the spectrum,
Yeah.
and it's so close to each other, which is so cool. Like we grabbed an Uber, we go to Manhattan, spend the whole day like this guy. You want to talk about a walking guy, Joe Strong? This guy made us walk 25 kilometers through New York City, and he walks at full speed, man. Like you were so fast. I remember having like my Chuck Taylors on so I could be fashionable. I was like regretting not having my old man walking shoes. I was dying that day. But man, it's so fun. And then boom, we're back home, and we're
Yeah,
back home
yeah.
to your house, to your area, and then just like so relaxed. We're like some nice county area with like everything you need. I
It
just love
is.
I
This
love
is
that.
great. This is obviously like a family suburb of New York. Most of the people that we have here are either professionals like, doctors, lawyers, accountants, architects, things like that. They are either finance guys who work in Manhattan, not anymore, not during COVID. The new capacity of the universe is everybody's working from home, and business owners, lots of business owners, and that's our big bread and butter is a lot of that those professional slash business owner finance people that live in this area. Huge sports culture here, so it worked out great for our brand. When I started Varsity House, I only wanted to train athletes. I had no intention of training adults, and because I did a lot of in-home training with adults when I started, and I hated it. Okay. And I didn't hate training. I didn't hate adults. I don't want people to be confused. I didn't hate training adults. What I really hated was training people in their homes. I felt very limited in what you can do, and very hard to build a culture when you're in somebody else's home. It's not really your business. You're just a dude training people in their home. You know what I mean? So very different thing. When I started Varsity House, it was all athletes, and the area fit really good with our brand because North Jersey is a sports powerhouse, and it's one of the top recruited areas in the country behind like Florida, Texas, and California. It's the fourth highest recruited area in the country for football, baseball, even basketball.
Wow,
So
really?
when you
I had no
flow
idea.
over the border into Rockland County, into New York, you have some of the best basketball players in the world, coming out of this area. So the two areas combined, gave us a really good foothold in the sports community. Football is massive around here. It's not like Oklahoma where they got like a 30,000, person stadium, but it's very talented athletes, and a lot of the kids in this area also tend to be high academic athletes too. So the kids around here are going to the Notre Dames, the UPenns, the Harvards, the Stanfords of the world, and stuff like that, and you still have everything else in between. But usually, generally speaking, you're going to have a high level athlete who's also a high academic kid too, which is win-win for a lot of universities.
Yeah. And so now what would you say your ratio? So you went from training all those kids to
Yep.
basically, you went opposite kind of the grudge, and we went with all the adults, and then we started bringing all these kids, and you kind of went with the
Yeah.
kids, and then all the adults. Are you mostly like, are you over 50% adults now these days?
Well over. Yeah. So I mean the as the so like obviously training a lot of kids, and you being a dad, and like if you bring your kids to another coach, right, whether it's baseball, football, whatever it is, Tony, and your kids come home raving about this guy and raving about this team and these people, and you're like, oh, this is a really good dude. Let me get to know this guy, right? And so me just being me, and I always, anything I've ever done, I always tried to be the best at it. Whether that actually happened or not is another story. But like, but I would always give it my all. And the one model I've always lived by in business is just do the right thing. Just be transparent with people. Do the right thing and be good to people as much as humanly possible. And so I started building a reputation for being a really good mentor with the kids, and people felt really comfortable bringing their kids to me. And that grew and grew and grew. And Dan really played a big part in that too. Dan opened up, even though Dan was still in college when I first met him, he opened up a lot of doors with me because he was a local townie, right? He grew up in the area, so he introduced me to a bunch of like junior coaches, like Pop Warner coaches, high school coaches, college players. He brought a lot of business to the original Varsity House, and I used to like hit him up on the side, or I'd give him free training for the summer or whatever like that. You know what I mean? Before we ever had a business plan, and so inevitably, you'd have all these kids in the gym. I wound up having all these moms and dads hanging around the gym waiting for their kids to be finished with their workouts. So one of them, just started bugging me about training. You've met him, Lance, who's our
Yeah.
financial advisor and wealth management advisor. He's done talks for the Business of Strength and the SYP and stuff like
And a
that.
comedian.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The guy's
He is a comedian
hilarious,
too. Yeah,
man.
he's a great guy, right? And
Yes.
he's become a super close friend of mine, and somebody I respect tremendously. And another guy that you should have on the show as a world class dad who's into everything tactical, right? And but anyway, he begged me and begged me and begged me. And I said, I'm not training you. I'm not training you. I'm not training you. And he's like, look, dude, I got both kids training 3 or 4 times a week doing private lessons with you. I'm spending X amount of dollars. I want to train. And I was like, all right, dude, I'll train you. Right. And I'm like, I'm going to absolutely demolish this motherfucker. Right. I'm going to kill him. Like, I'm going to make sure he never comes back. Fucking guy never left. 15 years later, still here. I murdered him. He was so sore that his feet. The analogy that he tell when he tells stories, he's like, my feet didn't work the next day. They were like flippers. He's like, my calves were so sore, and the anterior tibialis. He's like, the muscle in the front of my shin was so sore that my feet no longer worked. And they were like, the next day when I was walking to my office, it was like I had flippers on. Right, I am doing ladder drills and box jumps, and like I just wanted to crush him. And he kept coming back. And finally, I had to write a real program for him and actually start training him. And that kind of spawned the adult thing, and then it kind of took off from there. And when me and Dan partnered up in '09, we would roll into the gym at 10, work out till 12, go eat lunch, come back, start training kids at 2:30, 3 o'clock. And when we hired our first business coach, Pat Rigsby, in '10, and he was like, so what do you guys do during the day? And we're like, we work out, hang out, eat lunch. It's like, let me get this straight. You're paying a lease on a building, and you only fucking train kids from 3:30 to 9 o'clock at night. He's like, you ain't never gonna make any money. And we're like, we're like, all right. He's like, I got Lance, but he came at night, So I literally, the first phone call I made to build up our adult program was like, Lance, you want to bring your wife and some of her, cronies here at like 9 o'clock tomorrow? He's like, yeah, I'll bring a carload of housewives for you if you want. He's like, you sure? You sure you want to do that? And Lance and his wife and a bunch of her friends came, and a bunch of them are still here training today too. So kind of just built that up slowly, and then a year later we kicked it off with the 6WT, and that was really the anticipus for the growth of the adult program.
Man, that is a crazy story. And one thing I like what you said is like you always have aimed to be the best. And one thing that stands out with me from Varsity House or for Varsity House and you in particular, because it's always been your voice and then Dan's, is that you've always said, and I don't want to butcher this, but you aim to be the best fitness. What is it? The world-class fitness facility?
World leaders in strength and conditioning. I mean, that is our ultimate goal, is to be a leader in the industry. Education, motivation. I want to provide a great product for our customers, but my whole thing, I've always been an educator, and I felt like, me and you've talked, like maybe because I didn't have, a really great father figure growing up. My father had passed away when I was a kid. For me, this is the ultimate, like I don't know, fuck you to the world, and all the people that said they couldn't do it, all the people. So it's like, not only am I churning out great client results and helping people every day, but I'm also, turning out some of the best young strength and conditioning coaches in the industry. I mean, we have a factory here for our internship program, coaching development, that has really become the thing. And like I get 10, 15 resumes a week of coaches that want to come coach here. And people who literally like moving out from other countries. Like, we've had lots of people like coming from London. Hey, I'm coming to America, can I get a job? And we bring everybody through our internship program. So for me, it was always about giving back to the industry, trying to educate other coaches. And I've always passed it down. I've never had a, I don't know, like some guys hold on to their like programming like it's the Dead Sea Scrolls, and they're like afraid to show anybody. Like, I got this top secret program. I'm like, no, you don't, dude. I'm like, no, you don't. So I've always gone out of my way to, when it was just Dan and I, and take Dan in my wing and teach him everything I could about training. And same thing with Big Mike. And then those guys did the same thing and passed it down, passed it down, passed it down. And now it's just become a trickle down effect where if you want to come work at Varsity House, consistent education and certifications and leveling up knowledge wise, mentorship programs and things like that is an absolute must. And we actually grade people on that. You ain't getting a raise if you don't meet. You have continuing education credits that you have to hit every year. Otherwise, it's a demerit in a sense against your reviews and stuff like that.
Well, it's pretty impressive. Like me here in Canada, a friend of yours, but also
Yeah.
I know the goal of your business. I
Yeah.
butchered it, but I know it's to be the best in the world. And you just keep repeating that, and everybody starts to believe in that mission,
Yeah.
right? That just repetitiveness and that. And we've been fortunate at the Garage Gym to kind of like piggyback on your experience, your knowledge, both through the mentorship with you guys, but also we got to see like how well your intern thing worked because
Yeah.
you didn't send Rabs down to us. He was with you guys forever, Ryan. Abbott, big shout out, our Australian buddy
Yeah,
from Jim
man.
Jones. But
My,
he trained with you guys for a long time, and then he
yeah.
came down when we were opening up the Garage Gym. Both times he came down for opening of both facilities, just random
Yeah.
luck. I think he wanted to come to the Christmas party both times, but and you know what? I couldn't believe the difference from like the first time to the second time. And that
Yeah.
the second time he came was when he had been with you guys.
Yeah.
And this guy was blowing my mind. He's a young guy. He's super
Yeah.
smart, obviously.
Hmm.
And I was just so impressed with what he was bringing from a business knowledge and from his on the training floor to into my gym and teaching me and teaching my staff. And that
Yeah.
was like a direct, correlation to the education he was getting with you guys.
Thank you so much. I mean, look, and so it's again, my job as the visionary is to continue to create new lines in the sand. That's really like when people ask me what I do here at Varsity House anymore, I literally I sit in my office and I think up shit. That's really what I do all day. And I try to come up with innovative ways to service our clients, innovative ways to improve our brand, and innovative ways to improve the education process of our coaches and create better coaches. And so like you know I started the internship program from day one with Dan. Technically our first intern was Big Mike, and the program was crap at that point. It was really just me giving him a whole bunch of books and telling him to stand next to me for 6 months and learn, right? And then obviously it became a real education process. About 4 years ago, about 4 years ago, one of our coaches here, Sean, kind of helped me take that program over, and we revamped the whole thing from top to bottom and put everything on Teachable, did all sorts of, created lots of lessons and videos and things like that, and really streamlined it so that by the end of a 12-week period, when kids come here in the summertime, they're 150% ready to take a CSCS exam for the National Strength and Conditioning Association, which is kind of the gold standard in the industry. So, like, yes, we teach them a lot of what we do at Varsity House, which kind of deviates from that a little bit. But I really want them to get this standardized education that was in line with what they were learning in the colleges, but had a lot of our own stuff in it. So it's way better than like what you'd get at like a traditional weightlifting class at like school. And but they were ready to take a certification, because at the end of the day, they still need to get certified. Most states in the US require it, some don't. But again, it's for anybody who's serious, it's kind of a notch on the belt. It's the same reason why we went to Jim Jones. It's like, I want to get this, I want to, check this box off that I accomplished this goal, right? So, all of us here have our CSCS, and many of us have multiple certifications. But so this is the first step in that. And now, like with Adam, becoming the head training director here in the last year, it was just taking it to a whole nother level. So, I really believe that, where it used to be summer intern and about a year of prep work to get them to become a real coach, like these kids are graduating our summer program, and they're coaching right away. We're hiring kids right at it, like September. If we have 4 or 5 interns, I make 1 or 2 of them an offer, and we hire 2 of them, and they're coaching people from day one, and they're on the floor. They get their own clients, they get their own groups, and they're coaching. They probably still got another 6 months of work before they're like a head coach, before they're like really, autonomous. But I mean, like when I look at like our last 2 hires, Kat and Danny, and here, I mean, they're so much further ahead of where like me, Dan, and Big Mike were when I was their age, where all of us were their age. Like at 23, they're as good as anybody I know, and like and in the industry now, with a grain of salt, obviously, maybe not an Eric Cressy and people like that have been doing it for 25 years, and they don't have some of the just the eye for certain things. But I mean, these are unbelievably talented strength coaches, and like at 23, I was a dipshit. I really was. I was like, I was such a meathead. I just like to train.
All right, I'm gonna take a minute reading this ad real quick. If you want to, don't fill up your Yager, Joe. Don't fill up your Yager. You gotta pick up the kid. Stephen Kidd, financial advisor. Does your financial advisor take the time to really listen to you? Is your financial strategy personalized for you and your family? And will your financial advisor be there as your life and financial situation change? When you work with Stephen Kidd, your local Edward Jones financial advisor, he focuses on what's important to you, and you'll work together to use an established process to create a personalized financial strategy backed by the advice, tools, and resources to help you reach your goals. And you'll partner to help your strategy stay on track. Contact Stephen Kidd today at 519-734-8599. That's 519-734-8599. Edward Jones, member, Canadian Investor Protection Fund. This episode of Tango One Podcast is sponsored by Ian and Kara Murray of Murray Insurance and Financial Services in Kingsville, Ontario. They are Southwestern Ontario's #1 ranked Desjardins insurance agency by their clients, and they're owned by our very own Kingsville OGs, Ian and Kara. They pride themselves in maintaining the high standards that the Garage Gym members have come to expect. They are experts in their industry with a combined over 100 years of experience. They are the best customer service in the industry, including claims concierge service, which is exclusive to their clients. And they focus on community, something that's very important to us, employing local team members and investing back in the Essex County community on a continual basis. They are a one-stop shop for everything to protect you, your family, and your assets with the best policies in the industry. And if you combine your home, auto, and other insurance policies together, you get an even better rate. Give their team a call today or send them a text at 519-733-2331 or check them out online at murrayinsurance.ca or on Instagram at Team Murray Insurance. All right, so speaking of money, let's
yeah, man.
Not too much. Let's speak about like a little bit about business. So I've noticed like lately, you guys, obviously the business of strength was like one of your first big ventures outside of the gym, I guess. And you've kind of like done more of these things lately, like VHU, and like you got the business circuit, you got the strongest year. I've noticed like your leadership I feel like when I was first around you, it was like you and Dan, it was everything. And now it feels like you're really in like this divide and conquer. And
Sure.
even you and Dan seem to be going in different routes of this business. Let's just talk about that a little bit? Because I love that stuff. I think it's a key to
Yeah.
leadership and
So,
success.
yeah. So, I mean, and look, anything I ever say about Dan is said with the most respect and love. He is my brother. He's my partner, and we've had the most amazing relationship for the last 15 years. And it really, really, I have to pinch myself every day that I got lucky to find like somebody who's literally like my little brother, who's become an amazing, entrepreneur and leader in his own right.
And
So
father
really,
now.
what? Yeah. So really, what happened was is like, you had me, and it was kind of always like this, right? And Joe's the boss in a sense. Joe's the CEO, founder, whatever it is, and Dan was always kind of you know filling in the blanks wherever he could, and he was a tremendous asset in marketing, sales. He's really great with the people. He's a really good people person, so he's really good at speaking to our staff and leveling up our staff and things like that. You know us pretty well, so he kind of he's a little bit more like, yo man, just chill, and I'm like, what the fuck, right? And
That does sum it up. That does sum it up
right,
right there.
and I could definitely be a little bit more fired up about stuff, and really it just came down to a point where you got two high level operator, in the facility every day, stepping on each other's toes, doing a lot of the same stuff, right? And the 2 years, 3 years ago, 2 years we started cleaning up. Last year's been like spot on. I think COVID was really the anchor in it that was like, all right, this is it. We're going to completely rearrange our roles. And we just sat down and said, look, man, like here's the deal. Like if I don't step out of the way in a sense and become let's call it a pure visionary, marketing, you know, consulting role, you're always going to be, in a sense, number two in the facility. So for the last like 5 months, I took on another role and I've been working on another project out of Varsity. I haven't even been in the building, right, for 5 months, pretty much full time. And so we knew that was going to happen. And last year, before COVID, right, we made Dan the CEO and started making all the necessary changes to offload redid our whole organizational chart with me at the top, still, head of the board, whatever you want to call me, chairman of the board or some shit, right? Grand Poobah who sits in his office and doesn't do shit, but I loosely say that, but obviously I watch everything and speak to Dan every day and speak to all our coaching staff and keep a close eye on everything. But like, if you tie your kid's shoes every single day for 15 years, you're not helping him at all. You know what I mean? So it got to a point where most of the decision making fell to me. And in order for us to go to the next stage of our business life cycle together, the next 15 years, and running multiple facilities and having multiple businesses, is Dan needed his own time, and he needed to be by himself, and he needed to, in a sense, get thrown in the fire, be the leader. All questions, problems, and answers flowed through him for the last 5 months, right? And he did an amazing job. So it gave him the opportunity to step out of my shadow, find his own groove and his own special way of communicating with people and leading the team and stuff like that, and allowed me to focus on some things that I've been wanting to do. And he's done an amazing job, and I have no plans on coming back to be the CEO of Varsity House. That's Dan's role now, and I have no plans on coming back to that. He's done a phenomenal job. He's done way better than I did in a lot of areas, right? And anywhere that I can support him now is kind of my role as the team leader, visionary. And it's like, hey, dude, just tell me where there's some holes and where I can help the most, whether it's creative stuff, whether, big, opportunities and joint venture relationships and business relationships and things like that. Where do you need the most support? Right. And that's what I'll do. And then the rest of my time is going to be focused on the business of strength, the SYP, and our consulting business for the next year. And then you know, we've been planning this for a long time, but there's some serious growth opportunity in the industry right now because of COVID, and the unfortunate reality that so many businesses have, either gone out of business or they're losing their shirts. So, there's opportunity to buy right now. So, we got our bloodhounds out sniffing the grounds in a sense and trying to find a couple opportunities in our local area that are gonna be ripe for us in the next couple months to pluck another gym out. So
Oh, good for you, man. One thing we learned from that too is like with Nikki. So we've signed up Nikki for she is now. I have nothing to do with, not that I have nothing to do with the Strongest Year program, but Nikki is in the Strongest Year program, and she
yeah,
basically she's the one coming back and telling me what she's learning or telling me what she thinks we should do.
here's what we should
And
do. Yeah.
when when I made that move, some people, I talked to some other business people about it, some friends, and they were like, "You're gonna pay for this girl to learn how to own a gym?"
Hmm.
I'm like, "Well, yeah. I think it's like your job as a leader,
Yeah.
and it can't just. I mean, I'm churning out people that are going to the fire department, the police department, like left and right. It feels like,
Same.
and my job is to level up those people for whatever they're gonna do in life. We're not. I want Nikki to be here forever, absolutely, but I also want to make sure that if she is here, she's able to like run this place without me. And
Same.
you know what? If she does ever move on, that she's got some skills and she's got, something that she can ever, throw back to us, thinking
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
that opportunity came from a result of what she's learning with us. And same thing has worked. And what amazes me with watching you and Dan is that you're like two alphas running one thing. Just doesn't seem, from in most situations, they don't work.
Yeah.
When I was a team leader, there was two teams. If there was two team leaders on one team, we might have been in trouble, right? Like we might have killed each other. And
We
that's what
got lucky, man.
I don't see that with you guys. And I
No.
spent a lot of time with you guys. I don't really see
Yeah.
you guys bicker or fight or disagree. The only
Almost
time I see is
never.
when Dan tries to take the credit card from you when you're buying.
Almost never. You know what I mean? And look, I mean, so here's the key to success in a partnership: button up your business. Right? We never left the business side of our relationship with unattended, business and stones unturned. You know what I mean? You know, we had an operating agreement right from the get. Crappy one, obviously. It was like 3 pages. It was a piece of shit, but it was something, right? Like they say, any plan is better than no plan, right?
Absolutely.
We got life insurance on each other. We speak a lot about the end game. We speak a lot. Now, obviously, we know our families very well at this point. Like his mom and dad are like my mom and dad, and vice versa. At this point, our wives and our friends and so forth. So I care greatly about his family at this point. But when we started, it was like, hey, dude, I want to make sure that you understand that, if something terrible happens to me, that you're going to take care of my wife, right? That you're going to, that that money's actually going to make it to her and stuff like that, right? So we had a lot of those tough conversations, and that's allowed us to focus on our relationship as leaders and as businessmen, because I never felt like there was this animosity or unfinished business. So that's one, is button up your business, and two is, just be honest and open, and open to change. You have to listen. I am married to Dan. You know what I mean? And I say that jokingly. We would joke around, call each other our work wives, but I am married to him physically, emotionally, financially, in the same exact way that I'm married to my wife. Now, he's nowhere near as pretty, and I don't sleep with him, and I don't get to go home with him, although we have slept in the same bed a few times.
Well, I was
Right?
going to say, I don't
Right? Shit's getting weird. And Big Mike might have squished in there once or twice too, a few times. And but it's the same damn thing. If you're gonna have a partner, right, you got to treat it like a marriage, and it's till death do us part. No lying, no cheating, no stealing. You know what I mean? And you got to walk a straight line. And most importantly, what's the most important thing to a successful relationship with your loved one, right? And that's, you got to listen to them, right? You got to pay attention to what they're saying. It's not always about me. I don't get everything that I want here at Varsity House. And there's been plenty of times when I was like, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. And Dan's like, man, I really don't want to do that. And it's like, we're going to do it. And he's like, bro, I really don't want to. It's like, all right, tell me why. And we sit and we listen and we bicker a little bit, but we have our, constructive criticism or, healthy conflict. And it's like, all right, man, if you really don't want to do this, then we're not going to do it, because I'm not going to force you to do it. And it's the same thing, like, with having a great relationship with your wife. It's like, you can't win every battle, or you will not be married very long,
Win any battle.
At least in business, I win half.
Okay, like
At home,
win
I
a
win
battle
like
here or
30%.
there would be nice.
Yeah.
Try working with her, man. Try working with her.
No, we didn't go. Me and Dan made that rule from the beginning. No wives.
Yeah, you guys are breaking the mold for partnership, and Danny and I are getting along when spouse is running a business, which is kind of rare. I think
it's tough, but that's been our key, man. It's just listening to each other, being respectful to each other's wants and needs. And when Dan's had a bug up his ass about doing something, I always gave him the respect and wide berth to try it and do it. And same thing. If I have an idea that I'm really passionate about and I want to bring to life, even if it's going to cost us money or time, he's like, all right, man, if this is really what you want to do, run with it and see where it goes. And some of them have been really successful, like the Business of Strength, and some of them haven't. We had a business, the Highlight Company, that you remember that.
Oh yeah.
We sold that. That was something we started off. We were really fired up and gung ho about it. We ran it for 10 years, but we were like completely uninvolved and unpassionate about it. So we sold that. We had a lineman development company. We thought we were going to be like the next great, like, offensive defensive line company. When we first started, we had a company called Lineman U, and we were doing like O-line, D-line clinics and stuff like that. Like, that was a massive turd. And so you win some, you lose some, but the key was that we let each other kind of explore our entrepreneurial side and some of the things that we wanted to do.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Like for Danny and I, with the same as you and Dan, your work wise. I mean, the same with Danny and I. It's like it's very important for us. Like we do fight at work, and we do fight at home. Like it's not fights, it's arguments, it's whatever you want to call it. But like when something at home isn't perfect, it can't roll into the business. If something in the business isn't perfect, it can't roll into the home life. And being able to separate like the friendship, really the relationship that Danny and I have, outside of just being married, just our friendship is very important. I think that's something that a lot of partners, and I know you were telling a story before we got on the air. It's just like, when I've had the same thing happen where it's like, yeah, we bicker at work, and we don't have to agree on everything, but why can't we just leave work and still be at least respectful and friendly to each other and have a relationship, because that is what's going to power you through. I find, like,
100%.
What are they saying? Like, all ice is solid until there's heat on it. And I think that's the kind of things that a lot of people are finding out probably in this business world during COVID, right?
Sure.
You thought your friendship, your relationship, your business partner was solid until you put some heat on it and things aren't perfect. And then that's when you see people melt. And I can tell you that in the police world,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this guy's a great fucking partner until somebody jumped on my throat with a knife. Like, you're like, where are you now, man? Like, hit this guy. Don't just run away, right? We need your help. Like, it's so true.
I mean, look, I mean, I honestly feel like this has made our personal relationship that much stronger, because, and I know I say this for both of us, but it's like, I don't know if we would have gotten through this the same way if we didn't have the two of us, because I can, because I'm so close with Dan personally, I can speak to him about anything, not just business. I talk to him about personal stuff. I know, he's had some real hardships this year, in COVID, other than the business, having a son who was premature in April, he's had deaths in the family, unfortunate realities. I've had the same. And it's like, we've overcome a lot of business adversity, but personal adversities as well in the same year. And he's always been there for me to listen to. A few weeks ago, we were having some issues, with another venture, and I had to go on a vent session, and, I was on the phone with him pretty much for an hour every night on the way home. And he listens to every word and appreciates that. And I try to do the same for him, so, so that's really just been a unique thing with me and him. I meet so many people that are like, I had this partner, I had that partner, and I'll never do it again. Like, they're scorned for life. I do say a lot of it is probably a 50-50 street, where they weren't, you have to be open to change. That's really everything. You have to be open to seeing things from another perspective. Like I always look back to like when you and Dan went to the Jay Ferrugia event, and speaking with Mike DeSanti, and then I had personally hired Mike DeSanti for about a year after that event, to do some work with me. And my biggest takeaway is every time you want to speak and react to something somebody or somebody says or does, stop and think. And he made me write this down on like my notebook. Can I see it from another way? Right. So like if my wife is yelling at me about something that I did at the house, or raising our son or whatever, before I shut the hell up, you know what I mean? It's, let me see the perspective, before I go down on the gym floor and yell at, Big Mike for playing death metal. Let me refresh my brain of what his perspective is. You know what I mean? Before I go down there and charge it, you know what I mean? So that's been a big thing, a transformation for me in terms of leadership, and going to the next stage in my life where also I am a dad and I am a husband, and I don't want to bring the frustrations from work and the the stress and anxiety, which is pretty minimal at this point here home with me, is that you know if you can't see things from another way, that's when you get anger and frustration. That's when I leave pissed off. That fucking guys don't get it. They don't get it. It's like, no, no, no. Let's see the other side of things. It's just business. It's just work. It's no big deal, right? And then
Yeah.
go home with a fresh perspective. So,
Yeah, and
that
I think
helped a
that
lot.
comes a lot with age, right? Like with
Yeah, that
like for
too.
me, like the Tango One, the Tango One Solutions business, the tattoos on my neck, it's strength, protector, warrior. And then the last one though is self-awareness.
Yeah.
And I think like strength, warrior, protector, very easy for a man to kind of get their head
Yes.
around those kind of like values for what I think are important in this world. But that self-awareness, that's the one that's tough. And it's kind of going from like the warrior to the monk, to being
Yes.
able to like sit down, slow it down a little bit, and like it's noticeable in you. And I haven't even known you that long, and it's just like you do throw off a little bit of a different vibe. Like you're, since maybe it's the sun, maybe it's everything, but you seem to like chilled out, and
Yeah.
you seem so comfortable with how everything's running and letting other people do whatever. So I want to ask you a few questions though, man. So
Yeah.
if you were stuck in a Venice Beach apartment, maybe half cooked a little bit in your underwear with two other men, what would be the provisions what would be the provisions you would choose? So take you guys back a little bit. It's not as weird as it sounds, but I'm in Venice
People are like
Beach
scratching their heads like,
with
what?
Joe and Dan, and we went out for a nice, very fun night of drinking and all kinds
Oh
of
my.
seafood, and we end up heading back to the hotel room or the beautiful Airbnb that you guys had rented us, and Joe's like, we need provisions. And we go into this store, and this is what you got to mind you that this guy had already filled the table with every piece of food that we could possibly eat for the 2 hours prior to this.
Yes.
So you're going into the store, you need provisions for the night. What are you getting?
You got to have snacks, man. You got to have snacks. First off, if you're out drinking, you got to load up on water, Gatorade, and coconut water for the rehydration process, right? That's one, right?
For the beach workout in the
For
morning.
the beach
Yes.
workout in the morning. Second, you probably need to cop yourself some Advil just in case, right? Just in case you still got one of those dull headaches in the morning, right? Third is snack time, man. Like, nothing better than just like, a bag of Doritos. If you can find yourself a 7-Eleven, like, and get like a nice one of those like fake rib chuck stopper type sandwiches, that always does the trick at like 4 a.m. That was my go-to, the truck stopper. But that was, I think we rolled out of there with like chips, like some ding dongs, a couple of, might have been some ice cream. I think
there was some ice cream. I think we all had a tub of ice cream,
we all
and
got
you
a
still
tub.
made us omelets.
I did make omelets. I did that in the morning. We had omelets.
Well, yeah, that was one of the best trips, and that Fruja, that seminar was it was awesome. It was enlightening. I think it was a big turn of the corner for all three of us, and
Yeah.
we went there thinking we were going on a fitness seminar, and we left there with this like huge self-awareness seminar, and it was like, woof, there's some things about myself we unveiled there.
I was honestly, and again, we're not getting paid from Jay, but we
No.
should. But I mean, if you're not following Jay Ferrugia, definitely follow him. Listening to the things that we did there, that was a very transformative weekend. I had a great time, met some great people. We still keep in touch with like Corey and some of the other people all the time, right?
Yep.
And and I think us, I mean, like just speaking for me, you and Dan, we bonded a lot closer and had like a lot of fun together, and just seeing everybody open up about things in their life and being really honest with each other around some of those roundtable discussions that we were having as a group was really like, wow, you got to see another perspective. So it's so important to get out. My whole thing with like what I want to do going forward, and hopefully, in the next few months, as we get past this pandemic, we'll be able to do more of that. But me, I like being in front of people. I like putting on the show and giving people a great experience. When we bring people here to Varsity House for whether it's a business mentorship or a training mentorship, I want them to walk away, blown away by the overall experience. And a lot of that experience comes from the little rides in the car to Whole Foods, going out to dinner and having a couple drinks and things like that. Learning about training is great, but the bonding that occurs in the in between times is really what makes it a memorable experience.
Yeah, I've said that. I mean, on SWAT, I was getting sent on seminars and courses all over the place. And then since joining the gym, getting into this fitness industry, starting with Jim Jones, and then so many seminars, going up to see you guys, going here, going there, taking advantage of these opportunities. But you learn lots. But honestly, it's these connections, it's the bond that we built with guys like you and Dan, with Gus, with, there's just so many, Ryan Abbott, there's just so many people that it's like, I feel like I can travel anywhere in the world and find a gym and, walk in and be welcome, and not just a gym, but somebody who's going to bring me out for dinner, somebody who's going to, and that's what I've loved about hanging out with you guys. It's like, you kind of live by the same philosophy. It's, work hard, but play hard, and, and get up and answer the bell the next day and redo it, and just make the most out of your time there and build relationships. And that's what it's
because
about.
like, look, if you come here and spend money to come here and see us, right? Yes, you're expecting to walk away with a certain like prerequisite knowledge of like business and stuff like that. I mean, that's why you're coming here. But I want to build a relationship with you, so you feel comfortable calling me, emailing me months later, and hey Joe, I'm thinking about, you know, running our first 6-week transformation. Like, can you help me get this program off the ground, right? And it's like it's that type of thing that, again, that to me, that's what giving back to the industry is. It's not just like anybody. If all I wanted to do was give out knowledge, I would just send emails and ebooks. You know what I mean? That makes it easy. I'll just write the, transform your adult community with a 6-week transformation ebook, right? And just email it out the world. But I'd rather get 10 people here in the gym and take them through the process step by step and build a real relationship with them, because I can't really help you build your business if I don't know you personally, because your business, the garage gym is an extension of you and your personality. Your core values or the garage gym core values. It's the same here, right? So every gym is this unique, and every business for that matter, every small business is really this unique, um, individual thing. It's like everybody's unique fingerprint, right? So, an ebook is great, but there's only going to be a small percentage of people who are going to be able to action that in a certain way. But you come here, you get to know me, I get to know your business, I get to hear you speak, I get to understand your mindset. I know a little bit about your background. Like for you, let's just say like you personally as an ex-cop and stuff like that. And when we build out a program, I can help you build out a program that really fits your core values, your mission, your own personal wants and likes as a person who's running that business, and it's not just some cookie cutter, like do this, do that, do this, do this. I never wanted to do that. That to me, that was not the way in which I like to learn. So it wasn't the way in which I wanted to give it to other people.
Well, you've succeeded, because I mean, I'm a graduate of your program. And, Danny and I are probably, I think we were one of the first ones, if not the first, to jump in on the strongest year, just because of the results we saw from being on the business of strength. And
that's why we took you to Venice Beach and got you drunk.
Yeah, good point. And before that, I mean, you were like unofficial, like business mentors to us too, before you really started, running these courses as official thing. And one thing I thought was cool about you is like, now I've helped a few other businesses,
Mhm.
using the stuff I learned from you. And it's pretty crazy. Like I give you a shout and I'm like, hey, like this is kind of what I want to do now. I'm like, and instead of you being jealous or or saying like, oh, you're stealing, but you're like, man, go for it, jump on it, go
Yeah.
give it a shot. And that's something super respectful, and just that shows that you're way bigger thinker than just out there to make a buck, man. You're actually making a difference and spreading that ripple around. So huge shout out to you
Thanks,
and
man.
to
I
Dan
appreciate
and the
that.
business strength of your whole team, because
Thank you.
it's pretty crazy that a little gym in Canada and a gym in New York are able to, like, Jersey, we're able to just like, we know everybody on your team. You know everybody on our
Yeah.
team. You've been
Same.
down here. You've supported us. We've been up
Yep.
there. We supported you. It's been awesome, and I really appreciate the friendship and the mentorship, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you. You guys have been nothing but amazingly supportive to us, and I've learned as much from you, especially with the podcast, the leadership stuff, and I can't wait to get up there for one of the leadership weekends. Once we can, and help and I want to be a victim though. I don't want to be. I don't. I'm not coming up to coach. I'm coming up to
Oh,
get
I
to
want
get
to taser
to get
you
slapped
so
around.
bad. I
I
want
want
to
to get.
taser you so
Does this
bad.
sound does this sound fucking weird? But I want to get tasered. Like I want that. Come on, give it to me. Come here. I want
It sounds American. It doesn't sound weird. It sounds
I want it. Bring up.
like,
Can I get over? I wonder if I can get over the border with all the guns. With all my guns.
yeah, I
bring all
forgot.
these
I
guns?
forgot. You're a little bit of a prepper, right? A little bit of a doomsday prepper.
I got a lot. I got a lot of shit in my house. Yeah, man. Like, don't mess with me. From security. From. I got MREs right here in my office at the gym. Just in case.
So, Joe, the trainers, the gym owners,
Yeah.
just anybody in general, they want to get a hold of you. What do they do, man?
Easiest way to go about it is just, you can find me on Instagram, Coach Joe Strong. That's kind of my main platform.
Yeah, I didn't know your last name forever. I
Yeah,
thought it
yeah,
was
yeah.
Strong.
It's strong. No, and you can pretty much find me there, or you could just email me directly at Joe at Varsity House Gym, all one word, Varsity House Gym .com, and that's probably the best ways to get in touch with me.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on, and cheers to you and your continued success.
Tony, you too, man. Thank you. Cheers to the Garage Gym squad. Please say hello to everybody, and it's always a pleasure, brother.
Will do, man.
Thanks, man.
Time to take action. Now's the time to do more and be more.